Summer, absolutely summer. Loved it all of my life as a little boy. Still love it today. I live for summer. Oh, the All-American hamburger. I'm very easy to please. And I don't even like a lot of fixing. Just give it to me as it is and often. Oh, well, I've read so many and still read so many. Be easier for me to tell you authors maybe than titles, but I'm going to say, the first one that comes to mind is one that was early on in my life, A Rage to Live, which I love that title. It was John O'Hara, and it was one of my favorite books. It kind of set the tone of who he was as a writer and things that I liked as a reader. I certainly love And Then There Were None, Agatha Christie. I have all of her books. I loved every one of them, but that one personifies who she was. I mean, that's probably the greatest mystery story of history. And the Bible. And I just love the history of the Old Testament and the joy of the New Testament. I love it. My favorite sport to watch is probably baseball, because I know more about that than I do any other sports. I enjoy football though very much, but every time I watch a football game, there's always something I didn't understand. There's a rule or something I pick up on. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, even after all these years. But I love both. But hey, I've gotten into volleyball and basketball in recent years because of my grandkids. They play both, and I've learned to love them. It would have been a Southern Gospel concert. It was at the National Guard Armory in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and would probably be the Blackwood Brothers and the Statesmen. They traveled together back then when I was a kid, 10 years old, or something, 55, 56, up through that era. And that would be my first one, and then they got to be a regular event as all the concerts came. We saw everybody then, whether it was the Sunshine Boys or the Spear Family or the Harvesters or whoever. It was Southern Gospel. Ideal vacation is the only vacation I've ever had in my life, is going to the beach with the family. We go, take off and go to the beach every summer. And I never had a vacation until I retired. And that kind of sounds weird, but all of my vacations up until retirement time, I worked them into a working vacation. I'd have a few days off, but I would go, and the family would go and that kind of thing. But it was along with some dates I was doing or some promotions I was doing. But as far as just a true vacation, not until I retired did I have just 2 weeks to be there with nothing to do but read and enjoy the summer. From my mother. Oh my golly. You know, I can't sit down and tell you something that she probably said. She said a lot of things, but the example she gave me, living. And it was just being honest with yourself, being honest with the people around you. She didn't have a dishonest bone about her. She was as open with one person as she was the next, no matter age or station in life. And I learned that from her, to be who you are wherever you are, whenever it is. And she was the master of that. Tea. Oh, without a doubt, I can tell you that one. I grew up a great fan of this music, and one of my favorite songs as a kid, which I think one of the most perfect records ever cut, and you listen closely to it, was Dean Martin's Memories Are Made of This. And we recorded it twice in our career. And the last few years of our traveling and doing concerts, we sang it every night, and I loved it, and I still love to hear it, whether it's us singing it or whether it's Dean Martin, but I just love that song. A 1952 four-door Chevrolet Green. I was working bagging groceries at a grocery store, and my neighbor next door passed away, and his widow wanted to get rid of their car, and Daddy said, go over and see what she wants for it. I said, okay, and I did, and she wanted $125. And I happened to have $125 from bagging groceries, and I bought my car. My favorite car was a little BMW Z that I owned for many, many years, to where it just sat around and I didn't use it anymore. But I had it for probably 15 years, and I've always liked to have a convertible just to ride around in the summer evenings with. And that was my favorite. It was a little two-seater, and it just got to where it sat in the garage more than I sat in it. So that's when I got rid of it. None very well. I played just enough guitar to get in trouble, and just enough of piano to write a song. So, and I did, my first instrument was an alto saxophone. I played in the high school band. I was probably the worst sax player ever to come through Wilson Memorial High School. And I still have it, as a matter of fact. But I did teach myself how to play the piano and how to play the guitar, and play the chords, and that's what I used to write. Oh, with my dad, we would do stuff together, especially after I got into being a teenager. So we would go to sales together, auctions. He loved to go to sales on Saturday, farmhouses that were cleaning out and families that were selling out. And I would go with him, and I kind of learned to enjoy that. And there, I remember we would buy shotguns, and we even bought a truck one time. So we did this together. And I have great memories of going and doing that kind of stuff with him, and those joint investments that we made, they were always fun. Read. That totally is relaxing to me. Oh boy, I hate to think. But I know what I wanted to do when I got out of high school. I wanted to continue my education, and I would like to have been an English major. So I might have wound up teaching English someplace, literature, I don't know, whatever. But I would like to have been an English major, but I never had that chance because I went to work immediately. And when I got to high school, we got, very shortly after that, we got involved in country music, and that's where it happened. And I remember when I left, I was in business college. I did go to a year of that, and I remember when I left, and I told my mother, I said, but one of these days I'll come back and finish. And when I retired in 2002, I was 57 years old, and my mother was still around. And when I told her I was going to retire, and she said, what are you going to do, go back to school? Because you know you never did. You told me you were going to. You know? But that was her sense of humor. Yeah. Night out. I'm awful slow in the mornings, but I just can't hardly go to bed. I just love staying up and snacking and reading and watching old movies. Oh, as a child. Probably one of the B westerns. I grew up on B western. I was going to say Trail of Robin Hood. It was a Roy Rogers movie, and he had all of these other cowboy stars in it as guest stars, and I loved it. And years later, owned a copy of it, of the film, and that was probably mine as a kid. You know, I could weed through a lot of them. I could weed through hundreds, maybe 1,000 of them. But it all comes down to, I think, the best one that affects me, because I can watch it again today, and I've already seen it 30 times in my life at least. But Edna Ferber's Giant. I think it was just an absolutely perfect movie, and the characters, everything about it, Giant. It was, let me think of the title of it. It was an old Perry Como song. and we did it on the TV show. And it has this really strange syncopation as to coming in on the off beat instead of the on beat and what have you. And it got to be a joke when we were recording. I would come in at the wrong place. And Bill Walker, our musical director, who was also a great friend, and Bill finally said, I tell you what, just glance over at me in the orchestra pit and I will cue you when they come in. And he would be directing and boom, he would give it to me. And it was, I can't think of the title of it now. But it was funny then, it still to me. And if I sang it today, I'd probably be the same way. I could never find the right place to come in. The best place, home is a perfect punchline. But I did enjoy my travels. I love things like New York City. I loved LA. I loved going to these cities and seeing everything they had to offer. At the same time, I love the Southwest, just riding through those white rocks and those beautiful mountains and plains through Arizona, New Mexico. I loved all of that. And, you know, we traveled a lot, you know, around the world. And I got to see Big Ben in London, you know, I got to go to Australia and places like this that I never would have before. And so I have nice memories of all of that. But there's nothing quite like home. When I say home, I mean America in general. Boy, if you never get outside of the United States, there's plenty of places to travel and a lot to see. For those who know me, they know why I laugh. No, there are no around the house. I am horrible around the house. Ask anybody in my family, especially Debbie, my wife, anything. She just came to me 30 minutes ago and said, I'm looking for the screwdriver. I said, what do you need? She said, I just need you to give me the screwdriver. She didn't even want me touching anything. I'm horrible around the house. When and how? I want to be honest about this. I'm kind of a humble guy, and I don't like wearing fame and prosperity on my shoulder. And I'm not saying that to be cute. I'm saying I'm honest. That's what you're hearing there is my clock. It plays a different hymn every hour, and I love it. But it wasn't until our career was over, and the night they called us from Nashville and told us we'd been elected to be in the Country Music Hall of Fame. I think it hit me then that, hey, maybe this is what we've been working for. This is fame. Maybe all these people, they do know who we are. And I think it was when it was all over is when I realized that, that I was famous. English, by far, and probably the only one. All the rest of them I was pretty bad in. Yes, now that I've retired, I can. I listen to it and I hear things that I've never heard before. I was always listening to it too critically to hear what other people were hearing in it. And I was thinking, yeah, but that you say that's good, but I think we could have done this or that. And until it was over, again, you know, I'm a late bloomer, aren't I? I had to wait till a lot of this stuff was over before I really enjoyed it. And now I can put an album in. I'm riding down the road in my car by myself, and I stick in a CD, and I can really enjoy it now, and I never could before. Me and Bobby McGee, I think is one of the best songs ever. Chris being one of the better writers ever, and I'll be the first one. There's a lot of them, but that's one that comes to mind right off. Unsolicited advice. I'll take advice, but wait till I ask for it, okay? I just, people that come and say, I'll tell you what I do. I'm thinking, wait, I don't remember asking what you do. Build something. I wish I could take a hammer and nail and go out here and say, I'm going to build a birdhouse, or I'm going to build a little shed back here in the yard, and say, I wouldn't know where to start. I would be afraid to put a saw in my hand. I don't know anything about that. I'd say Christmas. Maybe because our family seems to celebrate it a long time. We start early and we end late, and we just have a really great holiday Christmas season, and yeah, it would have to be Christmas. The stage. I like the interaction. I like hearing immediately from the people. When you're recording, you're creating, you're not performing, you're there creating, and you don't know if it's working or not. When you're doing television, again, it's almost like the studio. You're doing this, but you can't hear. On the stage, you know immediately. If you tell a joke and it goes flat, don't tell it tomorrow night. If you sing a song and people just sit and look, you know, bang, 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 yeah, okay, don't do it tomorrow night. But if it brings a house down, you got a new entry. So yeah, you get immediate reaction, and I just loved the feeling back and forth from the stage.